peaceful conscience. Well, what is that? You know, you walk around with disruptive spirit. You don't even know it until you crash. And then someone else tells you. And like Mike said, how did we get there? In the big book, it says we're not driven by any virtue. We're driven under the lash of alcoholism.
For sure.
So there's no, it's not like I got here and I'm on this spiritual hilltop, or even acclimating that there could be a spiritual deal. I don't know that. I got that because Demetrius was drinking himself to death.
Welcome. This show empowers you to confront and overcome addiction with real stories, inspiration, and a host of resources. Our growing community supports, uplifts, and takes action to enable a new way of living. Now, F3 Recovery brings you the Super Sober Podcast. Hello and welcome to Super Sober Podcast number 51. Want to let you know I'm your host. My name is Brett C. I'm an RN with a BSN. Been helping people with this crazy convoluted disease addiction. And we're going to be doing an unbelievable episode on steps 4 and 5, but we're going to go to our guest and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mike G. Sobriety date of October 16th, 2022. Glad to be here. I've been working with the nonprofit over the last 15 years, trying to help people find independence.
Hello, guys. Demetrius F, 11/24/95. Still doing mortgages, making homes more affordable.
That's right.
Good to see you guys.
Anybody looking for someone to help them with this crazy convoluted process of buying homes or going through lending, man, reach out.
Yeah, please.
Contact D, man.
Please
Let's
do.
go. Special discounts for brothers in recovery and everybody else. Doesn't even matter. You can help anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, and especially big shout out to the best in the business here, Solomon at the podcast place in Long Beach, California.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. From zero to podcast, let's go. And we're doing another teaching podcast here on SSP. We're going to be doing steps 4 and 5. We're going to be doing videos, comments, questions will be answered. All three of us are sponsors here. We're going to be breaking down the big 4 and 5. But before we do these sobriety milestone shout outs, there's a lot of them here. Let's go. It is Cass with 1 year, Ernest E with 1 year, Taylor H, who we saw take a chip this morning with 5 years. Good job, brother. Afton R with 6 years. Tyler L with 7 years. Howard N with 15 years. Bob N with 35 years. Mary R with 41. Frank B with 42. Shout out to all these Facebook peeps. They have been putting it out there. We've been having some great momentum on all of them. Instagram, we're on TikTok and Facebook. The comments are coming through. People are loving the Father Martin. A lot of old schoolers, old timers, mid timers, short timers. People are just commenting. I've never seen so many comments before. We had our first 100,000K reel view with Mike's beautiful face on that one. Shout out on the last podcast. And also to anybody else with any stand-up sobriety, we salute you guys. That's for sure, right?
absolutely.
Right, Mike? Even if you're in your 40 days and what do you say about that one usually?
Even if you're 47 days before you take a 30-day chip, we're with you.
Yeah, man. Or you're struggling to get back, it is on and cracking. But we're going to be doing some unbelievable stuff. We're going to be doing a PowerPoint, just taking out the stigma of 4 and 5. It is the journey. It is the journey. So we're going to be breaking it down. Let's go to that first slide right there. I'll be doing a little commenting, right? That is a guide to recovery. We don't speak for AA, just a disclaimer. We just share our personal experiences with working with others. Alcoholics Anonymous, understanding steps 4 and 5. That next slide, please, sir. All right. Introduction to steps 4 and 5. The purpose: to bring honesty, self-awareness, and healing to those on the path of recovery. Step 4 made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5 admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Together, steps 4 and 5 form the foundation of self-examination and honest confession. They invite individuals to look inward with courage, identify what holds them back, and share that truth with another, beginning a profound process of healing and connection. Steps 4 and 5 mark the beginning of personal inventory and taking responsibility, a turning point in the AA recovery journey. Little bit of history. Co-founder Bill W. and early members borrowed the practice of self-inventory, confession, and restitution from the Oxford Group, a first century Christian-based fellowship active in the 1930s. Originally, early members practiced heavy, sweeping confessions. When writing the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, in 1939, Bill W. streamlined these practices into structured steps to keep people from getting overwhelmed or bogged down in endless recounting of past trauma. The shift to sponsors. Step 5 shifted from public confessions to a private, trusted dialogue, usually with a sponsor, to foster deep safety, personal accountability, and relief from isolation. Step 4 calls us to conduct a thorough and courageous self-examination, looking honestly at our resentments, fears, the harms we have caused others. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Writing down our patterns and character defects is the first step towards true healing. Being honest and fearless in your self-reflection. Take your time. It's a process, not a one-time event. Write down your resentments, fears, and harms done to others. Use AA literature and a sponsor for guidance. Step 4 matters because it identifies the patterns, resentments, and fears that have been holding you back. By facing these truths on paper, you begin to understand yourself more deeply and prepare for the honesty and healing that recovery requires. When taking step 4, often the first feeling you get in touch with is discomfort. When people get uncomfortable about their behavior, especially where the potential for feeling real pain exists, they look for ways to protect themselves from the consequences of that behavior. Some of these ways are dysfunctional and self-destructive. These defensive manipulations lead us to avoid the responsibility. So that's a little segue into step 4. We got some momentum going through 1, 2, and 3. Go back in the other podcast, episode 50 that we just did on the last one was step 2 and 3. And then Mike D and myself also were on episode, I believe it was 48, where we went over step 1. So we got some momentum on this education stuff right here. Go back and check those out. Where we're going to be doing 3 videos on Father Martin. And let's go to that first video.
Now, Dr. Bob summarized all 12 steps into these 6 words. Steps 1, 2, and 3, trust God. Steps 4 through 11, clean house. Step 12, help others. Isn't it significant that the major portion of the 12 steps has to do with correcting what's wrong in here? Immediately after sobriety, I can't handle it, God can, I think I'll get in touch. Now comes the cleanup act. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not a therapy on earth as complete as AA is. But ladies and gentlemen, from this point on, you will breathe the clear air of decency again. You know the serenity prayer, we speak so much of serenity. In my opinion, serenity is nothing more than peace of conscience. I am now living the way I know God wants me to live. I've got to be peaceful about it. And so the rest of these steps, making amends, continuing to take inventory, praying, admitting being wrong, trying to help others, these things now are almost easy because I've climbed over the biggest hurdle of them all. I've let one other person in on the real me.
All right, that's a big segue into step 4. If you don't do a good character reflect, we're not going to get to our character defects. It's hard to stay in the bandwidth of just one step or 2 steps as we go through all 12. But we're going to work on focusing on 4 and 5. We all sponsor people. It is very, very stigmatized, the big 4th and 5th step. But we're leaning into it. We got the momentum. We've been doing some writing on 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully we can carve out some time and get through it. And man, it is unbelievable. And we're going to allude more into the next couple of videos. But what do you got on this one, D?
It's really good. He's talking about peaceful conscience. I didn't even know that you could do that. When I went to the recovery home and that was a step, I didn't know that you could even write out all your fears and resentments and, you know, your stuff like that. But at the same time, I had been wanting to tell someone everything that's been happening to me right at that time. I was really exhausted and had a lot of pain from growing up. And I remember the first inventory I did, I was working at Ace Parking in like off of Westminster, and I did it on a notepad. And my first job was Ace Parking. It was like $5 an hour, and that's where I did my inventory. And then I gave that to a gentleman in the recovery home there. And I had 3 resentments that I had the basis of my life, right? Like I didn't go to college. My mom was drinking, and my dad left. But those were the basis of my whole existence. Like you'd see me in bars just drunk or crying, or whenever I was, super lit, I would be bringing all that pain up. Like, you don't know what I went through, and we were in foster homes and blah, blah. And then when I did that inventory, like, I remember, the gentleman was like, these are the reasons why you've been destroying your life, is these 3 resentments. But for me, they were everything. I thought, it was like a victim thing or call it whatever, but I felt justified that those things were the basis of my discomfort, Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah. And he talked about peaceful conscience. And I just love that, because after that 5th step, I just remember having perfect peace after that. And my obsession to drink was gone after that. And it's been like that ever since.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
That's a fact.
Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are holding on to, and those are all more than enough reasons to drink. Right, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're 3 people sitting here, the way that I see life and view the world and everything, I should still be drunk out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially when you're confronted with approaching the 4th step, before you even thinking about the 5th, it can be a little overwhelming. It can be a little intense. Come to find out, I was really good at taking inventories.
Oh, yeah.
Because I took everyone else's inventory.
Yeah.
Very rarely did I look at myself and be as critical on myself as I was being on anyone in the same zip code. So come to find out that being hard on myself and writing the 4-step out verbatim from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous was the key, to understanding myself. I think if I walked into it thinking I'm going to better understand myself, I think I just didn't want to drink, honestly. I think that desperation of not wanting to drink really propelled me into doing a whole bunch of things, going around other people, holding hands and saying the Lord's Prayer, doing a 3rd and 7-step prayer. All of the steps that I took were an act of desperation to get down to causes and conditions, right? I wasn't looking forward to a self-discovery or journey through my consciousness. I really just didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
And I found another person, and for whatever reason, I really had faith that they would steer me the right way. And I put all my faith in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. You have to get your own experience with it. You have to go through it. You just have to go through it. And I mean, if you were to know the relief and the peace and the serenity after you get through the steps that can be had, when you do it, and we just make monsters out of everything. And then when you get through it, you're all, that wasn't so bad. And well, you sure did make it really bad, didn't you? And I'm glad you got relief from that. And I'm glad you got relief from your life and my life and helping other people go through it. Let's see what Father Martin has to say on the next video.
I can't handle it, God can. I think I'll get in touch. Now comes the cleanup act. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not a therapy on earth as complete as AA is. It's almost popular in the so-called scientific world to deny what we call the spiritual life, the world of morality and everything else. We are no more than animals who determine our own destiny. There is such a thing as morality. Wherever you see this word, moral, it has to do with the rightness or wrongness of human behavior. And AA was the first purely scientific organization on earth to recognize that the moral side of the human animal has to be faced and handled if we are to achieve any kind of mental, spiritual, mental, emotional health.
Yeah, chew on that one really quick. People keep on saying, oh, there's no science, there's no evidence behind the program and how it works. The evidence would be the meeting that I was at today. The evidence can be in our true testimony, being able to share our truths, to be able to go through it. I mean, just because you're on a pathway of spirituality, does that mean that direction and blind faith needs to be thrown into it all? No, we're asking you to actually have a process to do it. That's why the 12 steps are in there. And it's a process of fixing the mind, body, and spirit. And it's been acknowledged. The first program to acknowledge that. And here we are. I mean, still into 2026, and people are still demonizing it and say that it doesn't work. There's no evidence. Just go to cognitive behavioral therapy. Be smart about it. And it's like, no, you have to go through it. There has to be a process for you to do something action-wise to unwind everything that you did in the actions before it. So here we are talking about it. It's unbelievable. I mean, it changed my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first time I ever wrote down everything in my life and objectively and subjectively looked at it. I didn't even know what that meant when I started writing, but I had so much momentum and a good sponsor, and I just took the time, and I knew it was time to do that. And whatever time you do get this fourth and fifth step, that is your time. Don't not take this journey.
Yeah, I when he talks about the moral thing, I can't help thinking, he's talking about the scientific part, but I can't help thinking about Adam. And if, in that biblical parable of Eve eats the apple, gives it to Adam. Adam is in the Garden of Eden, and God walks through and he's like, Adam, where are you? And Adam's hiding behind a bush, and God's like, what are you doing? And Adam's like, I'm hiding. He goes, why would you need to be hiding? He's like, because I was ashamed. And that's when I hear Father Martin say that, and that morality, that was the first part where Adam actually understood that he had guilt and shame. Because before he, if you believe it, ate that apple, he didn't have none of that. And so it's kind of like in sobriety, you don't know you have these things until you start writing them out, and you're like, whoa, I've been living against conscience. He talks about peaceful conscience. Well, what is that? You walk around with a disruptive spirit. You don't even know it until you crash. And then someone else tells you. And like Mike said, how did we get there? In the big book, it says we're not driven by any virtue. We're driven under the lash of alcoholism.
For sure.
So there's no, it's not like I got here and I'm on this spiritual hilltop, or even acclimating that there could be a spiritual deal. I don't know that. I got that because Demetrius was drinking himself to death. And next thing you know, I'm in this recovery home. I'm reading this doctor's opinion. It says if I don't get sober, I'm going to die drunk. And next thing you know, right, Alcoholics Anonymous tricks you. And next thing you know, you're doing an inventory about your life. Which other people have been doing that for years. He's not the only. This has been happening since Confucius days and civilizations. It's just that we have just got on, to like, oh, self-reflection is good. Counsel with others and your friends and your family is good. I just got onto that. And thank God that happened, because now it's a tool that I use, that I even pass to my son. Thank God that we are able to go home and be like, oh, today was rough. When I got up in the morning, I cursed everybody out. And you can go home and be like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Or a set of piles of problems pile up on you, and you know how to go into your house and take a pen and, well, let me see where I fear this resentment.
Yeah, do a mini 4-step.
Yeah, exactly. And figure out why. I know I'm jumping ahead, but what a tool that you could do that. Because the same thing you would be doing with your therapist or your psychiatrist, right? Because, we go in them and tell them everything. It's fine. We don't tell them the meat, right? We just, AA pulls it all out of us. We don't tell our therapists and our psychiatrists the real deal, you know what I mean? And it says that in there. It says it in there, and then I'll be quiet. It says that we never gave our therapist and psychiatrist a fair shot.
Yeah.
Because you go in there and you tell them, oh, you should just hit my toe on you didn't tell them that,
Yeah.
that you were psycho growing up. You leave all
The
that
table,
out.
the kitchen
Yeah,
table came out and
right.
attacked me out
And
of
you were
nowhere.
chanting
That's
at
where all
night,
these
you know
verses
what I
came
mean?
from.
Like, howling at the moon at night. You didn't tell them that. You know what I mean? Anyway, you know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful step where you the peaceful conscience. That's incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I think like I've come to realize that I love the ease and comfort that came with the first drink.
Mm.
And what alcohol and the anesthetic feeling it gave me promised, the 12 steps delivered. Meaning that ease and comfort that I was craving so bad. Eventually, alcohol turned its back on me, right? And it no longer was offering the ease and comfort that originally got me involved in it. And, you were talking about pain and, shame and guilt and this and that. Some of that guilt was super warranted, very appropriate for a full-grown man who had, hurt many people that cared about him and loved him. That's what they were guilty of, caring about me. And under the lash of King Alcohol, I disrespected them and hurt them and broke their hearts and made sweet promises time and time and time and time and time again. And the 4-step was the beginning of the process of the root canal in my little heart that needed to take place immediately. And I'll say this and shut up about that. I was really struggling with writing every day. And this old timer, I was like, yeah, I'm having a hard time with my 4-step. It's really difficult. And she was like, son, hurry up and do your 4-step before you get honest.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that's a little cold-hearted.
Before you get honest.
Before I get honest,
Look at that.
And that unpeeling of the onion, I didn't know was ongoing, and that I
Until
needed
today.
to get. I
Yes.
needed to get off the first layer. Required for early consummation of walking through the 12 steps. That initial house cleaning, which was the most difficult of them all. Anyway.
Yeah, there was going to be some dust in the air and getting in your eyes. So you have to keep going through it. Let's go to that third video, Solomon.
The alcoholic and the drug addict is now asked to do is not to wipe that out, that's there. Is to resolve the guilt of the past because you cannot live with guilt sober. Dr. Bob proved this in the very beginnings of AA. He and Bill got together. They started this thing unconsciously. And he went on a medical seminar or something in Atlantic City, and he drank. And he realized that he could not stay sober until he cleaned up his past. Because he said it's impossible to look at it through sober eyes and be able to stand it. And this is why, my friends, right after steps 1, 2, and 3, this comes right away. He did that. He took a moral inventory of his life. He admitted to God, himself, and another human being, and he was able to go on. In a lot of treatment centers, you hear counselors say things like, you got to get rid of the garbage. And they have you write out all of your past sins, put them in a bag, and go and burn the bag. Does nothing. You will never get rid of your past. It's there. Mine is there. Yours is there. You cannot change one iota of it, and you don't get rid of it. What you do is resolve the guilt about it.
Yeah, I don't feel guilty about my past anymore. Working the steps, going through the process, liberated me. And my failures aren't failures anymore. I mean, I've seen so many people hurt in my life from a white class middle neighborhood growing up in, and then just descending into the streets and that kind of lifestyle and drugs and alcohol and just madness on a daily basis that was normalized. And I remember going through the 4-step, my second time. First time I did the 155 question 4-step. Second time I did the columns. My second sponsor was like, I want you to write down every place you stole from. Oh my gosh. Then it gets even a little bit deeper, right? It's like, how many people did you steal their time from? How many people did you steal their peace of mind? And the stuff that we used to do as kids, and just damaging private property, or you could just be in the vicinity of this crazy crowd I used to be in, or different groups, and stuff could happen and people were getting hurt. Or you could be driving down the street and rocks could be flying through your windshield, or whatever was going on that day as we were getting bored and getting drunk and high. How could I make restitution? Well, God's got jokes. He goes, oh, why don't someone to make you a nurse, Brett, so you can make amends. And I was all, oh gosh, every time I go into work, I think about that when something bad's going on. I don't have the guilt for it anymore. I've been able to work through these steps, and 4 and 5 specifically just opened me up. Just because other people are doing bad doesn't give me justification to do bad. Just because something happened to you bad doesn't give you the reasons to keep doing bad, right? And Father Martin just breaking it down. I mean, I couldn't live soberly seeing how they were without working the steps in my life. In hindsight, I didn't know when I was going through that, but I knew something had happened and something was changing with me. And I knew of the process. If I kept going through it, it was going to keep on changing. Finally, something was going to work for Brett besides madness and chaos.
Yeah. You know, I want to touch on something Mike said, if I could, about what his friend said about this time you'll get honest. You know, that inventory was only the first door of all the wreckage of me growing up. And now with my parents and with other stuff, I come to see like, wow, man, how there was no way they could have, there's no therapy. I mean, you almost can't condemn anyone with no healing. You almost by default have to forgive if there's no healing. I learned through Alcoholics Anonymous, like, whoa, like you've been granted this gift of reflection, but just think if my family had it. But they were only, and then think of their generations before them. This is what recovery's done for me. I think about the generation before that, all that being passed down, just a bad tape of information. Not that they were bad people. Let me clarify. I love my parents. I'm talking about coping skills and systems and habits and things that were never worked on. Yes, Brett. And then you come in here and around these group of people that are doing solution, and then you get to practice this and work on yourself, and you're like, whoa, man, this is just, so Mike was talking about that. He's right. It's just, that's the first part before you really get honest, not just with the guilt you have for yourself, but applying of what is yours and what's not yours. That the whole ship wasn't really messed up because of Demetrius. The whole ship was just messed up.
There was holes
all through that thing. I'm just reacting to a ship that was destroyed from the beginning. Now I've been sober a while to come to know that now, right?
You're on the Titanic.
The ship was going down as soon as it hit the water. But, lovingly, I know that today. What a gift, dude. What a gift. I too today, like it's not, if I'm interacting with anybody, there's my part and then there's the other person's part. I don't take it all.
That's amazing. We are halfway through the podcast already. We're going to be going to our sponsor, which is His House New Creation. And if anybody needs any help, 877-345-4138. That is 877-345-4138. They can help out anybody. If they don't help you directly, it is unbelievable what they're doing. The 71-bed treatment in Claremont. There's an 86-bed one coming in San Diego. Big things happening over at His House New Creation. Let's go to that commercial.
Welcome to the place where it all began, the 9th Street House. Our maiden journey into hope and recovery for His House New Creation treatment centers since 1994. Right next door, the 9th Street apartment building stands as a testament to our commitment to providing comfortable and safe spaces for recovery. And on the other side, nestled amidst nature's best, our Palm House offers a tranquil haven to begin the path to sobriety. You'll find 12 unique His House New Creation treatment centers across Southern California. Just as recovery encompasses inner and outer transformation, our facilities mirror this philosophy. The external beauty of our homes reflect the nurturing and healing environments you'll discover within. These are just glimpses of the harmonious spaces where we support your journey to recovery. Our state-licensed and highly accredited programs echo this sentiment. We know that successful addiction treatment is more than skin deep. It requires a robust plan that heals the mind, strengthens the body, and nourishes the soul. We select the best facility to cater to your unique needs, providing focused, compassionate care that sets you firmly on the path to sobriety and hope. Welcome to His House New Creation Treatment Centers, where the journey to a healthier you begins. Your recovery begins here with us.
Man, every time they do that close up on that first two windows on that one house, I was staring out that window onto 9th Street out in Upland. Woo! Come a long way. We're going to be going into the second half here of SSP 51. We're going to be going into step 5 because we know doing step 5 is going over step 4, and they are both really tightly connected. And step 5, we're going to be going into admitting our wrongs, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 5 means sharing the personal inventory from step 4 with God or higher power, with yourself, and with another trusted person. Though challenging, this step brings profound relief and marks a turning point in recovery. It transforms private burdens into shared understanding, fostering genuine healing and accountability. The core psychological barriers: overwhelming shame, deep fear that their past actions make them inherently unlovable or unforgivable; fear of judgment, worry that the listener will reject, criticize, or think less of them after hearing their secrets; the terminal uniqueness trap, the false belief that their wrongs are uniquely awful and that no one else could possibly understand them; practical and social barriers, fear of consequences, worry that revealing certain past actions, legal, financial, or relational, might lead to real-world fallout; perfectionism, getting stuck in a loop of rewriting step 4 because they feel the inventory is never perfect or complete enough to share; reflection and moving forward. Question: why do I have to tell another person? Can't I just tell God? Answer: keeping secrets keeps you sick and isolated. Speaking your hidden truths aloud breaks down ego, validates your honesty, and ensures you are not hiding anything from yourself. Next question: what is the sponsor's role during step 5? Answer: to listen quietly, offer a safe space without harsh judgment, help clarify character defects, and share their own experience with the process. These steps are challenging but deeply transformative. Continue with step 6 and beyond. Seek support from your sponsor and maintain honesty with yourself and others every day. Recovery begins with courage and honesty. You are not alone. Steps 4 and 5 are not the end. They are the beginning of a lifelong journey towards healing, connection, and freedom. Trust the process and embrace the path forward, people. Unbelievable stuff. We're doing really good here so far. Let's go to that video on Father Martin on step 5.
You know, I mean, apart from the purely doctrinal and the spiritual end of it, the purely psychological part of it, bearing one's soul to another human being somehow or other, has a great cleansing and healing effect to it. But the doing of it is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. The exact nature of my wrongs. I keep my goodies to myself, you know, what I've got, what I haven't got, and what has to go. I keep the good points to myself. This step has to do with cleaning up our wrongs. I share with another the exact nature of my wrongs. Now, how do I take this step? I ask another human being if he'll be willing to go through 6 or 8 weeks of nauseating. No. I ask another human being if he's willing to hear me. May I suggest that even though you can fulfill that step by asking anybody, if you want to gain something from your past, why not go to someone who understands the human soul and who can help you with your wrong.
Yeah, getting through it, helping other people, getting back to the practical and social barriers. This is a shout out to all the homies, prison time, veterans, people that have seen atrocities of war, people severely hurt, massive consequences for actions, that the worry that revealing certain past actions, legal, financial, or relational, might lead to real world fallout. I've seen a lot of people, I will never divulge what I have done, what I have seen. And that's what we're talking about, the closed mouth friend. And especially with the veterans, they got their own things. Just don't not go through it and share with somebody. It's not going to come back on you. They can't prove that that actually happened because you shared with somebody. I mean, I've been working in hospitals. People come in and divulge certain things or what happened. It doesn't mean that I just call immediately and this happened with whatever happened, and that they could actually prove that. And it's going to be some open new case. Yes, I'm a mandated reporter. Yes, when there's kids involved in certain things, I have to do things. But as a sponsor and stuff, that is not the case, right? So I know we've all heard confessions, and I'm not a priest or a father, Martin, or anything like that. But this is an age-old thing, like what Dee was talking about, is this confession and getting it out. I was a cesspool of stuff that I needed to get out, and generational and other things, how I saw the world, and being an old school punker and how defiant I was. And we were talking about before the podcast, rebellion dogs our every step. I was rebelling against rebellion. Who knows? It seems like I'll always be going against kind of the common flow of what's happening. But thank God for this step. When I went through, I've been through the steps twice with 2 different sponsors. And it's a big, what I wanted to touch in a little bit, it's a big different energy change from going through it with a sponsor or being a sponsor and going through it with a sponsee. It's a big difference between the professionals that teach and facilitate groups and then actually being in a meeting. It's a whole different energy dynamic, and it's a practice skill. You know, when you're sitting there listening to a sponsee's 4-step, to actually know, they're not knowing that we're breaking down, I'm writing down some character defects and some key points that we're going to be hitting later on in 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 through 12, and how we're going to practice that. But it's, I wish we kind of got some of the recording where we were talking about pre-podcast too. So yeah, thanks for shouting that one out, Father Martin, and just giving us some better insight into that.
Yeah, and Father Martin is just so spot on. I mean, you may be sitting there thinking, "Oh God, if I only understood it as he did, you know,
I think it'd be fine.
I'd be fine." You know, but alone and scared and having difficulty finding the courage to reach out and do your 5th step, you know, that might be something that you're dealing with right now. And you know, some of those old timers, they used to say things that were really appropriate in regards to the 5th step. One of them being, you know, you can write a 5th step on a matchbook, right? Meaning it's the things you're going to leave out that are going to save your life. The one thing you're going to take to your grave that's going to bring you a little bit of freedom. All the writing you've just done is a template to help you through the remaining of the steps. But the reality is that during the 5th step, the truth shall set you free. You know, to thine own self be true. This is a journey within in which you're going to have to disclose to somebody your story. And even the big book actually says, you know, you're prepared after you've done your writing, you're now prepared to tell your story. You know, get comfortable. You're going to tell your whole story, nothing but the truth, unadulterated, you know, hard facts, right? Just as you see it, not as it is, as you see it. With all the resentment and just, you know, judgment, etc. Just lay it on the line. You got nothing to lose. All you got to risk is, you know, having a new life. You know what's behind door number 1. We would encourage you to go through this process and find out what's behind door number 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't add a lot to it. I just know with sponsees I've had, you don't have to give it all to me. like the book says, you can go to your doctor or spiritual advisor or even, your friend or a priest or whatever. I always do that just because, I just want to make them feel comfortable. Always like you can go to different people for different parts of your story. You don't, I don't have to have it. You know what I mean? If you want to do that, then I'm grateful for the confidence, but you can tell, you can give it to anyone. You know what I mean? And
Especially like the vets. I'm not a vet.
That's what I.
I say get to it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we can leave that part out on your 4th step, maybe.
Yeah,
but don't not
do
get it out.
Yeah, exactly. Just feel comfortable. Whoever you're giving that to, is that they have, like Father Martin said, that they have a working knowledge of whatever you're going through. That's kind of important because you want a solution, right? Mm-hmm. You want to. So you just bowl something like that to you. I've had times where I've said some stuff to people and they just sat there. I was like, well, I guess I'll get in my car and go home. It's like, so that's huge. Like you want to go at least someone who's got been through some stuff and can help you get on the right track. That's super important. That's all.
And this is like a special shout out to all the people. And my whole life, there's been people that I could just sit down with. I'm kicking it, and then they start telling me their life story. Mm-hmm. That's been a common theme through my whole life. And they feel comfortable enough. And I know that they do that with you, Mike and Dee, and a lot of people that I know. My wife especially too. I'm just kicking it wherever I'm at. The next thing you know, they feel comfortable enough with sharing their life story. Yeah. And people are dying to get this stuff out.
That's true.
And I don't know these people, but in the truth, we know. That's right. There isn't this terminal uniqueness situation going on right here. The false belief that their wrongs are uniquely awful and that no one else could possibly understand them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What a misunderstanding that is.
But what is that loneliness though, right, Brett? It's the one where we don't have nobody to talk to. That's the number one, right?
Right.
Go home, close the door, no one will understand. That's the whole thing, right? But I can't talk to nobody what I just went through. So you just kind of just clam up. You're driving in your car, you're tensive. It's like, you're not letting that out, right? It's lonely. It can be.
Well, and connection is a threat to my selfishness.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I want to think about me.
Yeah.
I want to tell my story to me, not to you. Right. If I tell my story to you, you start going, yeah, that ain't right. Yeah, that doesn't check out, right? I mean, when I listen to my own narration of what I've been through in this life, it is distorted. I can't separate the truth from the false. Yep. Once I start finding connection with other alcoholics, particularly a sponsor, he starts calling me out, wow, that was really, really fucked up, Mike. And I'm like, it was, but didn't they have it coming? Yeah. I start to hear my distorted thinking out loud. So, we get the understanding that, or I understand at least that, reaching out and connecting with another human being and, it's really scary at first.
Yes, it is.
But I want to let you know that on the other end of that is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And most importantly, freedom, growth, happiness, right? A new life, right? If that sounds appealing to you, then this might be a way to go.
Let's go to that 5th video there, number 5, Solomon.
I've often said one of my favorite indoor sports is jumping to conclusions. We're all good at that. I wouldn't want you to see my best day up here. And we're asked to bear the exact nature of the wrongs of our entire lives to one other human being. Ladies and gentlemen, that is humiliating. It's horribly humiliating. But humiliation is the surest path to humility. It makes me see what I have become. And for what it's worth, and it's worth a tremendously great deal in the healing of a human soul, that for as long as he or she lives, there is one other human being on this earth that knows the real me. There's great therapy in that. And this isn't something that you can choose to do or not do. Bill and Dr. Bob came up with a skeletal plan of life of 12 things. Please believe this, please. They were interested in survival. And if it could be done on 10 steps, that's all there'd have been. If they could have done it on 4, that's
Man, in different programs, the steps are getting less. They're making it easy. I see it out there, but here we are concerned with all 12, of course. Man, talk about humiliation. That led me to humility and humbleness. And I was, man, unbelievable stuff. But we're going to get into a few questions here. What do you guys think? Q&A answers with the guests?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to go over a few things right now, just really quick and get this out of the way. What format do you recommend? Examples, standard big book, 4-column layout, the 12 and 12 method, or specific worksheets. So I have 3 of them right here. Just know the 12 steps are the same in all of them. Here's a recovery binder starter kit that I give, me and my wife give all of our sponsees when they go through the steps. It's a way that you can go through it and keep things organized. Here's the NA step. Shout out to NA. Just know that we're Super Sober Podcast. I kind of think I blew it. Maybe I had to put a little asterisk thing in there, Super Clean and Sober Podcast, because we do, a lot of us practice both programs, or, go to NA and AA and wherever the 12 steps are practiced. This is a great one. And then the one that we shouted out in the first episodes with Pat is, this is the workbook, another one right here that Charlotte, a previous sister, and her husband made, which is another good workbook. And then there's also the Joe and Charlie tapes. All of them are right and correct. The only that I like to lead with, the only ones that are the ones you do wrong are the ones you don't do. The only way you can do the steps wrong are by not doing them. Mm-hmm. So like, what's your favorite one, like a minute on, that you go through your sponsees with?
Initially, it's the big book. And then as the sobriety goes on, like I was telling Mike, we do every question in the 12 and 12. So we write out the question and answer the question. And I've been doing that for, I don't know, the last 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah, love the 12 and 12.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think there's a reason why in 56 that they came out with the 12 and 12 and added it. More psychological drama has been entangled, especially into 2026. And I always say, if you can metabolize 25% of the 12 and 12, you'll be floating on air. Mm-hmm. How do you do your sponsees there, Mike?
Standard big book, 4 columns, fears list, sex inventory, etc. Even the sex ideal, I make sure and get down on paper prior to sitting down and doing a 5th step with someone. And I really love the 12 and 12. And if you wanted to say what percentage of it have I digested, I'd say about 6%. I still have a long way to go.
It's so much in there.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing stuff, man. Uh-huh. Well, great. I just wanted to touch bases on that. And in the show notes, on YouTube, when you see the video and through there, and then the show notes that'll be on any listening platform, you'll see the links to Father Martin and these different resources if you want. Okay. And also another question, how about this one, Mike? How detailed do I need to be? Should I list every minor incident, or focus on major patterns or reoccurring resentments?
It's a good question. I recommend that you don't focus on major patterns, that you keep it kind of simple. And, I tell people in the beginning that write your first column like you're never going to write your second column. Write your second column like you're never going to write your third column. Write your third column like you're never going to face your part. And the other thing I like to say is, like, these are just footnotes that you need in order to tell someone your life story. I do that so that people don't get too in detail. You could start writing, actually, I've had individuals start writing their 4th step, and they start to talk about a traumatic experience early on in their life, and they can't get off of that. They just are stuck writing pages and pages. And while I believe in journaling and believe that that's healthy to write those things out, it doesn't help you get through the 4th step, right? And so in the beginning, I like to keep it simple. I like them to just start with names of anyone that loved them, any job they ever had, right? Any institution they've ever been to, you know, some of their financial choices, right? I mean, I just kind of go right down the list of almost like if you were writing an autobiography from early on to where you are now.
Right.
And yeah, I keep it really, really simple, especially for the individuals that tend to ask me for help, which tend to be, you know, an exceptional group of alcoholics that have problems other than alcohol initially, or at least so they thought.
Yeah, God will give you the mirror kind of with your sponsees.
Yeah.
And give you the unique help. It's an unbelievable process. So what about you, Dee? Let's go to this question. What do you think? What should I do when I get emotionally stuck or overwhelmed when writing?
So when I was first writing, I would just stop. After a while, like say I'm going through a fearless. And I want to touch again with Mike, what was saying is that I've had sponsees who wrote an inventory and it was all completely all over the place. There were resentments here, there was fearless here, it was, and I just let them. I was so happy that it was on the paper that I just let them do whatever, and then I kind of guided them through that part, or guiding us, you know, whatever. But these days, and even in the past, I would do a little part of the writing. It'd be overwhelming. I'd be crying, especially my first inventory. Like I was crying. Like it brought up all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I just stopped. I would do that later in the evening. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Sometimes I go back on it 2 days later. Like I've had to write stuff and I'm like, man, this is like, I can't even mess with this right now. I take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 2 hours. I kind of go back to it. And I always pray before I do them. I always say a prayer and get quiet before I do an inventory. And I always make sure that everyone's out of the house or whatever. And it's just me, the pen, and God, and I'm writing that out. But if it gets too emotional, I put the pen down. Go to a meeting, or I'll call somebody, and I'll just be like, okay, and I'll go back to it.
Yes, thank you for all the insight there. That's great stuff, right? Deep breathe, take a walk, work on subjective or objective writing. If you don't know what that is, subjective is your insight of you writing about yourself from your first perspective, and objective is stepping outside of yourself and then witnessing that, which is something that usually comes later on in the steps, that you're able to get this superpower to actually pull yourself out of yourself and observe yourself objectively, not subjectively. We're so entangled in ourselves. It's very hard as to get outside of yourself and do that kind of writing, but it's a practice skill. So hopefully you've been carving out the time. We were talking pre-podcast, how Mike likes to tell them to do 15 or 20 minutes at a time. Carve out some time in the day. Make this a process. Make this a self-reflective process. This is unbelievable. We're in the business of living, and man, this helps you get in the business of living. But we're done with another podcast. We could go over another 100 different things. You got any comments, questions, or concerns, you just email us over here at info@f3recovery.org or info@supersoberpodcast.org. We can be followed on all platforms, YouTube for our wonderful, beautiful faces. If you want to see that, you could see the books and our PowerPoint presentation, or if you're going to put this up in a treatment center or as a learning facilitated process that we hope you do, that people have been doing. Facebook. Don't forget about the Detox, the story of addiction, the deadliest disease that man has ever known. On f3recovery.org. It's something called the One Sheet, where you can see the presentation, or a pitch Bible that someone might be interested in, a director or anybody. We were talking about that pre-podcast too. Hopefully we can get some sizzle reels going. And then we're going to be shouting out Notorious JID, the first mascot of recovery right there, just kicking back. Notorious jails, institutions, and death. Oh my. We're going to be also shouting out the recovery time links, the first way to expose your chips in recovery. They're magnetic, right? It's a program of attraction and not promotion. So there's a lot of symbology in the back of that. They screw together in the back. This is a new way so you can get all your chips out of the drawer. They're unbelievable. It's a new process. You can just go on recoverytimelinks.com and get those chips out of the drawer and back into circulation. And then shout out to the best in the business is always here. Solomon, man in the background. Boom, right here. You want to go from zero to podcast, man, you can just get it done. I can't believe we're working into the 50s of Super Sober Podcast. We got a lot of rad people coming up. We're going to be doing some more teaching. Hopefully we can get Dee and Mike back on some more teaching on 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10 through 12, because we are the journey of inspiration and education. Any last little shout outs here for the last 3 minutes, guys?
I don't know. It was a pretty good step, right? You know, this 4th and 5th was really good. Father Martin was really good.
Yeah.
You know? I would just say for the new guys, just to, just see if you can get into it and don't be too afraid of it. I know it is difficult, but don't be afraid of, the reactions you get. And it's meant to be a little uncomfortable because you haven't looked at yourself a while, but the payoff is super valuable. And
what was that comment you said pre-podcast? The introduction to yourself. Don't be afraid of something. What was that he said? The investigation of yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the introduction of the investigation of yourself.
I was talking
rad.
But like these days, I find a joy out of it. I know that sounds really crazy, but like today, it's more of a joy, and because you're looking at what you can get on the other side. But if you're new and you're going through your first one, just set some time for yourself and go through it a little at a time, and have at it.
I think you said, don't be afraid to introduce yourself to yourself.
There you go.
Ooh, there was Solomon.
Oh, look at Solomon. That was like a
Solomon.
Steph Curry 3-point shot.
Yeah. What was that again? Don't be afraid to introduce yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Man, I'm glad we feathered that in there in the last couple minutes. What about you, Mike? We got a minute for you.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, as usual, Alcoholics Anonymous is an insult to your intelligence, I can assure you. And we don't want you to take our word for it. We don't want you to, just hear what we have to say and just get your own experience with it. The things we're trying to describe and articulate, the spiritual experience that we're trying to, talk about is very personal and very intimate. And we want you to have that experience on your own. And there is a little work that needs to be done. And, you're going to do a bunch of shit you don't want to do, or you're going to do a bunch of shit you don't want to do out there. So we'd recommend getting your own experience through doing this.
That's right. Get your own experience. And SSP 51, we're out. Keep on keeping on. Thank you for listening to the Super Sober Podcast. Go to our website at f3recovery.org. That's F3Recovery, all one word, .org. We're turning fight, flight, and freeze into free form and flow through practicing the 12 steps and staying accountable to change. Don't forget to keep on keeping on.